So GLP-1's.
Super hot topic, TikTok drug,
Yeah.
everything, all the people are on it, dropping weight like nobody's business. Are they good or bad? People want to know all the time.
Right. And right now, I think yesterday I saw something about the cardiologist. They're saying this is great because it helps with plaquing because you're changing the diet, things like that. The idea is you're losing weight, you're regaining your health, but at what cost? Because now we're starting to see things like Ozempic eye, or even with dental caries in the mouth because the mouth is so dry.
Yeah, so like anything else that gets mass prescribed before there's really solid long-term data, now that we've been prescribing to millions and millions and millions of Americans for the last, at least 3 years, now in the data, they're starting to creep up things that were uncommon in the general population, but now we're seeing more often with people on the GLP-1's. And so all these medical specialties are now coming out and saying, boy, we're seeing this in that population. So, for example, ophthalmologists are talking about a rare form of blindness that they're seeing as a result of GLP-1 usage. I mean, everybody wants to be skinny, but not at the risk of becoming blind.
And one of the things that I always get concerned with is, as I'm starting to get older, I'm working on my balance, making sure that I'm strong. I can get up from seated without my hands. We're having muscle wasting because we're of the GLP-1s, and that's a real factor as we get older. We're already fighting against muscle wasting, and then adding this in as an additional factor can be very problematic. So
yeah, that's true, because I just read an article yesterday about a new drug that is coming out that's supposed to be a combination of the GLP-1 plus something else to prevent muscle wasting. So there's acknowledgement that there are significant side effects. So people don't always know this. And what they also don't know is when they're put on a GLP-1, is that forever? Yeah. Is that until you lose the 10 to 15% of your total body weight that you wanted to? Well, hopefully, if you're on a GLP-1 and somebody hasn't told you this, newsflash, everybody will gain their weight back when they go off if they don't change the way they live. And a lot of people aren't doing that because it's super easy to just give yourself a shot and eat cake and call it a day.
Yeah.
But it's not going to work out. Yeah. So think about, if you're on a GLP-1, what is your end game, right?
And it's like we always talk about, like trying to get clarity, purpose. Where are you going? What are your goals? What are your health goals? And then how do we actually create things that will allow you to achieve them and make them sustainable? The one thing, there are a lot of ways to work with the GLP-1s, like microdosing, taking the smallest absolute dose so that you get to where you need to go and then you come off of it. That's actually the best way to use them.
Yeah, and then you can do that microdosing for a very, longer period of time, because, changing your life and the way you do things, I mean, no matter how much, desire you have to do it, I mean, that's not an overnight thing.
No.
That requires practice, and that needs time. So better you should do that over a couple of years. Again, weight likely to stay off then, while you change your life.
Well, the other thing too is there are some rare side effects with the GLP-1s, like shutting off the cerebral spinal fluid, which can lead to brain damage. And at first, I think it was back in 2017, there was actually it might be 2007, there was research on it where it would help if somebody had to have a shunt to take off excess cerebral spinal fluid. So this was a really promising drug for that. Well, there are some case studies where people have actually had brain damage because of it. Luckily, once you come off of it, then that mechanism goes back in and you're making your cerebral spinal fluid. But it is something that we need to stay abreast of. And if you're on those medications, you want to make sure that, you don't have any gait changes, nothing's off, those kind of things.
I think it's a bit of a secret in the medical community, though. Many doctors from my training, not hers, but mine, they believe that the weight gain the obesity is the actual problem. And if you just get rid of the obesity, then all of these other things get better. They do get better on paper for a short period of time, but that's actually the opposite way around, right? The underlying cause of all the inflammation in the body and the metabolic syndrome is not actually the weight. The weight is a symptom of the metabolic syndrome that's there. So there is the TOFI, right? Thin on the outside, fat on the inside. That is not good. And if you are a GLP-1 user, not doing all the things to support your bone health, to support your weight, to nourish your body, you end up a TOFI. Thin on the outside, fat on the inside. Nobody wants that. You don't want your organs all diseased and icky and just leave a beautiful looking corpse. I mean, if you do, you do you, but no thanks. So, so nobody wants to be that. There's also, you know, metabolically healthy obese, right? That's a small percent of the population, but you can be overweight a little bit. Well, I like to call it fluffy, and be completely healthy on the inside. I think I'd rather be that and live a long life than leave a skinny.
And the truth of the matter, I just came from seeing a patient, and she was telling me she didn't understand why all of a sudden she's inflamed and in pain and having to manage a whole bunch of medications now. And every time she goes to the doctor, they're adding a new one. And one of the last conversations she had with her doctor was, oh, maybe we'll add a GLP-1 in. And she doesn't want to do that because she understands she's craving foods. Part of it's from the ultra processed food. They're designed for us to crave them and overeat. And so it's really kind of untangling that and figuring out a new way, a new relationship, and how to navigate that without medicine. So.
And that's real hard to do from an app on your phone or from you know, some Instagram videos. People try and then they fail and then they get discouraged and then they're frustrated. But you know, when you put all the elements together and do it in a precise, individualized manner, I mean, success is really inevitable. It's just impossible to not be successful. So call us and we would love to help you.
Exactly.